Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there is no audience. Just you. Look at him. So serious. So full of plans he never opens. You collect intentions like souvenirs. You never use them. Tomorrow, tomorrow, always tomorrow. Cute song, terrible habit. You know why that song sticks? Because it doesn't ask anything from you. It lets you delay without feeling guilty. It lets you feel hopeful without moving an inch. Sorry. Did that scare you? Good. Fear means you're still awake. I believe in you. I really do. No, I don't. Not yet. You mistake kindness for permission. Permission to stay weak. Permission to stay comfortable. Permission to repeat the same year with a different calendar. Don't look away. This part isn't loud. It's accurate. You call it healing. I call it hiding. Sit with it. Don't rush to explain. Don't rush to forgive yourself. Just sit. Feel how uncomfortable that is? That's the moment you keep running from. I almost feel bad. Almost. Because you're not ignorant. You're not lost. You're avoiding. Big difference. You know the truth now. You've always known it. The cost wasn't hidden. You just didn't like the price. Discipline, repetition, boredom, responsibility. And pretending after this, calling this just a speech, smiling and scrolling and promising later, that's not confusion. That's a choice. And now, you get to live with it. No introduction. You already recognize that tone, don't you? That tightening in your chest. That moment where humor stops being funny. That's awareness. It shows up right before excuses try to rescue you. You love rescue. You love last-minute forgiveness. You love pretending the clock is flexible. It isn't. Time doesn't argue. It just records. Every delay, every half effort, every night you told yourself tomorrow like it was a solution instead of a sedative. Funny thing about sedatives, they don't solve pain. They make you comfortable enough to accept it. And that's where you've been living. Comfortable inside dissatisfaction. Awake enough to feel it. Asleep enough to tolerate it. A delicate balance. Almost impressive. You keep waiting for motivation to arrive, like a guest who owes you an apology. It's not coming. It never does. Because motivation follows movement, not the other way around. You know what discipline really is? It's not force. It's not aggression. It's the quiet refusal to keep lying to yourself. The refusal to decorate weakness with pretty words. The refusal to call avoidance healing just because it sounds gentle. Healing requires confrontation. Growth requires friction. Focus requires boredom. And boredom terrifies you. Because boredom removes the audience. No reactions, no validation. Just you and what you've avoided finishing. That unfinished list lives in your head, doesn't it? Projects half done, skills half trained, promises half kept. And you feel it most at night, when distractions get tired before you do. When the noise fades and the truth gets loud. That pressure, that heaviness, that's not anxiety. That's potential suffocating. You thought potential was supposed to feel exciting. Fireworks, energy, applause. No. Potential feels uncomfortable because it demands payment. And you've been dodging the bill. Here's the part you don't want to accept. Nobody stole your focus. You gave it away. One notification at a time, one excuse at a time, one indulgence dressed as rest. And now you're tired. Not because you worked too hard, but because you worked against yourself. Focus doesn't feel good at first. It feels empty, quiet, slow. That's why it works. Quiet removes lies. Slow exposes patterns. Emptiness forces choice. And choice is the one thing you keep trying to avoid. You don't need punishment. You don't need comfort. You need standards. Because once standards exist, excuses become visible. And once excuses are visible, they lose power. You already know what needs to change. You've known for a long time. The only question left is simple. How long are you going to keep pretending you don't? Now let's remove the last illusion, the one you protect the most. The illusion that you're waiting for the right moment. There is no right moment. There is only the moment you keep postponing. You've turned delay into a lifestyle. You don't rest, you pause indefinitely. You don't plan, you hover. You don't quit, you linger just enough to avoid commitment. Lingering feels responsible, doesn't it? Like you're being careful. No, you're being afraid with manners. You want to know what real weakness looks like? It's not failing. It's refusing to decide. Failure teaches. Decision sharpens. Indecision erodes. Quietly. Daily. Without drama. Your life didn't fall apart. You let it soften. You rounded the edges. You negotiated standards down until nothing demanded effort anymore. You stopped expecting much from yourself. And the world followed your example. That hurts, doesn't it? Good. Pain that clarifies is useful. Here's the part you've been avoiding responsibility for. No one is coming to enforce your discipline. No one is coming to rescue your potential. No one is coming to care more than you do. And that's not tragic. That's power. Because the moment you accept that, excuses collapse, comparisons die, and focus becomes possible. Focus is not self-hate, it's self-respect with teeth. It's waking up and deciding the day will not eat you alive. It's choosing one direction and refusing to be dragged sideways. It's staying when leaving would feel easier. You've mistaken ease for peace. Peace is earned. Ease is borrowed. And borrowed ease always demands interest. That interest? Regret. You feel it already, in small doses, at night, in quiet rooms. It doesn't scream yet. It waits. Focus is how you stop the waiting. Focus is how you interrupt the slow decay. Focus is how you become someone who doesn't need speeches anymore. You don't need another explanation. You don't need another perspective. You need to act before your mind starts bargaining again. One action, one block, one refusal to escape. That's enough to begin. And once you begin, there is no pretending anymore. Decide what you will do today. Do it without ceremony. Do it without witnesses. Do it even if it feels empty. That emptiness, that's where focus grows. And when the urge comes, because it will, remember this moment, not the words, the clarity. Don't run this time. Let me think. Not about you, about the pattern. Yes, that one. The pattern where you hesitate right before momentum. The pattern where clarity appears and you blink. Interesting. You don't freeze at the hard part. You freeze at the beginning. Because beginnings remove excuses. Once you start, the lie collapses. That's why your mind invents noise, questions that don't matter yet, doubts that sound intelligent. What if this isn't the best use of my time? What if I should plan more? Clever. Very clever. Delay wearing a lab coat. You call it thinking. It's stalling. Real thinking happens after movement, after friction, after the first imperfect step. Before that, it's just fear asking for better lighting. And fear is persuasive when you listen too closely. It lowers your standards politely. It suggests adjustments, small compromises that feel reasonable. Reasonable. That word ruined you more than failure ever did. Failure is loud. Failure teaches. Reasonable keeps you quiet and unchanged. You didn't fail your way here. You negotiated your way here. So let's change the rule. From now on, you don't think your way into action. You act your way into thinking. Start, then observe, then adjust. You'll notice something strange. The more you act, the quieter your mind becomes. Not because it agrees, but because it loses authority. Authority comes from obedience, and you've stopped obeying your own standards. Think about that. Every time you ignore your plan, every time you just this once your discipline, you train your mind to doubt you. And then you ask why confidence feels fake. Confidence isn't volume, it's alignment. When action matches intention, the noise fades. So here's the quiet test. No drama, no countdown. Pick the smallest real action. Do it now, without explaining it to yourself. Explanation is a luxury. Discipline is not. And when your mind interrupts, because it will, don't argue. Label it noise. Then continue. That's thinking with control, not endless analysis, not spirals. Controlled thought follows controlled action. Keep moving. Keep returning. Keep choosing. The mind will follow. There it is again. That tiny pause before you commit. The moment where your mind checks the exits. You feel it, don't you? That subtle urge to soften this, to turn it into theory instead of action. Fascinating. Your brain doesn't resist effort. It resists permanence. Because once you act consistently, you can't pretend anymore. Pretending has been useful. It let you keep hope without proof. It let you feel intelligent without being disciplined. It let you talk about standards without enforcing them. Comfortable trick. Expensive one. Let's simplify. Not emotionally, mechanically. Focus breaks down into 3 moves: decide, begin, remain. You're good at deciding. You're decent at beginning. You fail at remaining. Remaining is boring. Remaining has no applause. Remaining feels like nothing is happening. That's why it works. Remaining is where your identity shifts. Remaining is where your nervous system learns safety without escape. Remaining is where the urge peaks, then falls. Yes, falls. You've never stayed long enough to feel it fall. You always leave at the peak, so you think the urge is endless. It isn't. Try this, quietly. No drama, no heroism. When the urge hits, don't fight it, don't follow it. Observe it. Where is it in your body? Chest? Jaw? Hands? Notice it rise. Notice it argue. Notice it weaken. That's control, not suppression. Awareness with patience. You don't need to be harsh. You need to be present. Presence outlasts impulse. And once you outlast one impulse, the next one loses confidence. Then the next. Then the pattern shifts. This is how focus compounds. Not through force, through consistency. Small, unglamorous, repeatable. You've been chasing intensity. What you needed was endurance. Endurance turns minutes into hours, hours into skill, skill into trust, trust into calm. Calm, not comfort. Calm earned. So the next time your mind asks, "Is this enough?" answer by staying. Stay. Stay long enough for the urge to blink first. Stay long enough for the noise to lose its script. Stay long enough to become unfamiliar to your old patterns. That's focus. Not loud, not flashy. Effective. Continue. You hesitate again. Same place. Same excuse forming. Because at some point, reflection becomes indulgence. thinking becomes shelter, and shelter turns into stagnation. You don't need another moment to process. You've processed this to death. Notice how fast your mind defends itself. I'm trying. I'm working on it. I just need more time. Lies. Soft ones, but lies. You don't lack time. You lack intolerance for discomfort. The moment effort starts costing something, you retreat, and then you call that maturity. Let me be clear now, clear enough that your mind can't bend it. Focus does not negotiate. Focus commands. When you sit down to work, you don't ask how you feel. You don't check your mood. You execute the first action. Period. You've been treating discipline like a suggestion, something flexible. That's why it never shows up when you need it. Discipline only responds to certainty, not motivation, not emotion, not intention. And here's what you hate hearing. No one is forcing you to be weak. You choose it, quietly. Every time you delay. Every time you soften the rule. Every time you say, just this once. Just this once built your current life. Repetition made it permanent. Now breathe. Don't escape. Don't defend. This anger, it's not here to destroy you. It's here to wake you up. You should be angry. Angry that you keep betraying your own standards. Angry that you keep lowering the bar instead of raising yourself. That anger is energy. Use it. But don't let anger drive. Anger accelerates, discipline steers. Channel it into structure, into a schedule you obey, into a rule you don't break. One block, one task, no escape. And if you fail, you don't collapse. You reset immediately. No punishment, no self-hate, just return. Returning is strength. Returning is dominance. Returning is focus. Stop romanticizing weakness. Stop protecting habits that are draining you. Stop pretending this is complicated. It's not. Decide. Begin. Remain. Again. And this time, don't soften it. Don't negotiate. Do the work. You think the hard part is starting. It's not. The hard part is staying honest after you start. Because once you begin, you can't hide behind, I haven't started yet. You can't hide behind planning. You can't hide behind potential. You have to face output. And output is where your ego panics. Output is measurable. Output doesn't care how much you meant to. Output shows exactly who you've been. That's why you drift back into noise. Noise is comfortable because it's unmeasurable. Noise lets you feel busy without being judged. Here's the trap you fall into every time. You do a little work, then you reward yourself too early. You take a break with no end. You open one thing that becomes 10, and you come back hours later pretending it was unavoidable. It was avoidable. You just didn't want to resist. Resistance is the skill, not intelligence, not talent. Resistance. The ability to feel the urge and not obey it. The ability to feel boredom and not escape it. The ability to feel doubt and still continue. You keep expecting your mind to become quiet before you act. It won't. Your mind becomes quiet because you act. Action reorganizes chaos. You want to master focus? Then stop treating your thoughts like commands. Thoughts are suggestions. Feelings are weather. You are the decision. Let's build a rule that your weaker self can't wiggle out of. A rule with edges. When you sit down to work, you do not stand up for 20 minutes. Not for water, not for a message, not for curiosity. 20 minutes of staying put. If you're thirsty, you drink after. If someone texts you, they wait. If your mind screams, it screams in the background. You stay. The first 20 minutes are not about productivity. They're about authority. You're teaching your nervous system a new fact. Discomfort is not danger. You've been treating discomfort like a threat. That's why you flinch. That's why you reach for distraction like a reflex. You trained that reflex. Now untrain it. Not with speeches, with repetition. You will mess up. You will break the rule sometimes. Fine. But here's the real rule. You do not break it twice. You don't let one slip become a pattern. You don't let one bad hour become a bad day. You don't let one bad day become a bad week. You reset fast. Fast resets are what separate disciplined people from emotional people. Emotional people dramatize. Disciplined people adjust. Drama feels powerful. It's not. It's just noise again. You keep using emotion as an excuse to be inconsistent. I'm not feeling it. I'm off today. So what? Most days you won't feel it. You do it anyway. This is where your mind tries to argue. It will say, but what if I burn out? Good question. Burnout doesn't come from discipline. Burnout comes from chaos, guilt, and extremes. So we remove extremes. You don't need to crush yourself. You need to be steady. Steady is sustainable. Your focus improves when your life becomes predictable in small ways. Same wake time most days. Same work block most days. Same shutdown most nights. Not perfect, consistent. Consistency reduces decision fatigue. Decision fatigue makes you impulsive. Impulses kill focus. So stop living like every day is freestyle. Freestyle is fun. Freestyle also ruins people. You want freedom? Earn it with structure. Now listen to this carefully. You don't need a new personality. You need fewer loopholes. Your current life has too many exits. Too many ways to quit without admitting you quit. Too many small exceptions that add up to nothing done. You're still waiting for permission. Not from anyone else. From the version of you that likes comfort more than results. That version will never give permission. It survives by delaying you. So you stop asking. You stop negotiating. You stop treating your impulses like partners. They're not partners. They're employees. And you've been letting them run the company. Here's what a focused person does differently. He doesn't build a perfect day. He builds a protected hour. Not 5 hours. Don't get greedy. 1 hour you don't ruin. Because 1 protected hour changes the day. The day changes the week. The week changes the month. That's compounding. You've been compounding the wrong thing. Distraction, delay, drift. You don't drift into a better life. You build one. And building requires repetition under boredom. That's the toll. So let's get specific. Tomorrow, your first decision matters. Not your big plans, your first decision. What do you touch first? What do you open first? What do you feed first? If the first thing you feed is noise, you'll crave noise all day. If the first thing you feed is depth, your mind remembers how to stay. This is not philosophy. It's conditioning. Your brain follows the first reward. So choose the first reward. No phone for the first 20 minutes. No scrolling, no checking. 20 minutes of ownership. Water, light, 1 page, 1 note, 1 action. And when your mind throws its tantrum, because it will, don't explain, don't justify, don't bargain, execute. Execution is the language your mind respects, not speeches. You've been speaking to yourself like you're fragile, like you need to be convinced. You don't. You need to be directed, firmly, cleanly. And yes, sometimes that requires anger, not rage, anger with purpose. The kind of anger that refuses to waste another night. The kind of anger that stops the scrolling mid-motion. The kind of anger that says, enough. But anger alone won't save you. Anger fades. Structure stays. So you convert anger into rules. Clear rules. Repeatable rules. Rule. Start time is fixed. Rule. Deep block is protected. Rule. Breaks have an end. Rule. Sleep is defended. Rule. If you slip, you reset immediately. Immediate resets are the secret. People don't fail because they slip. They fail because they stay slipped. They turn one mistake into a lifestyle. They use guilt as an excuse to quit. They say, I already messed up, so what's the point? That sentence ruins lives. Cut it out of your vocabulary. Reset, return, continue. The return is the training. The return builds endurance. The return builds identity. You want to be someone different? Return more quickly. And stop acting like you need to feel ready. Readiness is often just comfort, that's all. Comfort has never built you. Comfort has only kept you familiar. Familiar is not safe. Familiar is just known. You already know what your life looks like with drift. You've lived it. How many more months do you need to study the same mistake? Stop studying the mistake. Start building the correction. 1 hour, 1 task, 1 standard, again. Because the truth is simple. Your mind will obey the moment you stop treating it like a child. You feel that tightening again, that quiet resistance. The moment where part of you wants this to end so you can go back to being comfortable. That's the line. That's always the line. Most people turn around here. They call it enough for today. They call it, I get the point. And they walk straight back into the same life. You don't need more understanding. You already understand. Understanding didn't save you. Obedience will. This is where discipline stops being an idea and starts being behavior. This is where you stop explaining yourself. This is where you act without a speech. Notice how your mind wants to comment. It wants to agree. It wants to reflect. It wants to turn this into a personality trait. Cute. Useless. Focus is not something you talk about. Focus is something you do while your mind is loud. Right now, your brain is asking one question. How long do I have to keep this up? Wrong question. The question is, how fast do I return when I slip? Because slipping is inevitable. You will check something. You will lose a block. You will waste an hour one day. That's not failure. That's human. Failure is staying there. Failure is giving the rest of the day away. Failure is saying, I already ruined it. That sentence has destroyed more potential than laziness ever did. So you remove it. You don't say, I ruined today. You say, I restart now. Restarting feels weak to your ego. It feels small. Good. Small things are controllable. Control rebuilds confidence. You keep chasing confidence like it's supposed to arrive first. It doesn't. Confidence follows evidence. Evidence follows repetition. And repetition is what you've been avoiding. Because repetition exposes inconsistency. It shows you who you really are. But it also gives you the chance to change it. Quietly. Let me be direct now. No metaphors, no atmosphere. If you don't build a daily focus block, your life will remain reactive. Reactive people don't lead. They respond, they chase, they explain. Focused people decide first. Then the world adjusts. This is why discipline feels lonely. You stop reacting like everyone else. You stop participating in constant noise. You become less available. And people will notice. Some will respect it. Some will resent it. Both are fine. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be solid. Solid people sleep better. Solid people think clearer. Solid people don't panic at silence. Solid people don't need constant stimulation to feel alive. They generate meaning through action. That's what you've been missing. Not excitement. Meaning. Meaning comes from finishing, from keeping promises, from respecting your own time. And yes, it's boring at first. And yes, it's uncomfortable. And yes, you will want to quit. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's working. Every time you stay when you want to escape, something inside you rewires. You won't feel it immediately, but you'll notice it later. Less panic, less noise, less self-betrayal. And one day, not suddenly, not dramatically, you'll realize your mind listens to you now. Not because it became gentle, because you became consistent. That's the trade. Consistency for chaos. Discipline for drift. Choose it daily. Choose it without speeches. Choose it when no one is watching.